After my wife stayed the night with another man, I took well-deserved revenge. Hey, Redditors, I have never done this. I was trying to let out all the feelings that I had been going through lately. I came across this page and felt like pouring my heart here. My name is Travis and I am 32 years old. I am here to share my story about how my marriage ended. I had been married to Lauren. She was 5 years younger than I was. I loved her way too much and let her live her life the way she wanted until she did something that was highly unacceptable. Even though I was unwilling, I had to make sure that she never repeats the same mistake ever in her life. She did an unforgivable deed that had to be punished. It was a difficult decision, but I knew that allowing her to continue without consequences would only enable her behavior. Despite the pain it caused me, I knew that cheating was something that was unacceptable in any relationship. I caught my wife lying and cheating, so I took my revenge to make sure that she suffers the consequences of her actions. I met Lauren 9 months ago at one of my friend's party. I was instantly smitten by her beauty and wanted to get to know her better. I asked my friend to introduce me to her so that I could start a conversation with her. My friend introduced us and left us to talk. She was quite easygoing and our conversation flowed very smoothly. She told me that she enjoyed going to parties and living her life on her own terms. She was ready for any challenge thrown her way. After talking to her, I liked her even more than before. She was not only beautiful, but also very clear about what she wanted in life. I decided that I would want to meet her more to get to know her. We started meeting each other, and it made me realize that I could not stop thinking about her. She made me feel like no one ever did. I had been warned by my friends about her wild nature and constant changing of boyfriends, but I paid no heed. I trusted my instinct and knew that she too felt the same way about me. It was just 6 months since I knew Lauren, but somewhere in my heart, I was very sure that she was the one I wanted to marry. I took her out for a holiday to a private island. She was impressed by the elaborate preparations that I had arranged just for her. One evening, as we were having drinks at sunset, I popped the question when I felt that it was the perfect moment. She instantly agreed and said yes. She gave me a hug and started crying, telling me that this was the best day of her life so far. We had a royal wedding and were the talk of the town for almost a month. Everybody talked about our wedding wherever we went. The media coverage of our wedding was overwhelming, with news outlets and social media platforms buzzing about our fairy tale romance. People were captivated by the love story we shared, and it seemed like everyone wanted to be a part of our joyous celebration. Even strangers would approach us to congratulate and share their well wishes, making us feel incredibly blessed and grateful for the outpouring of love and support. On the day of the wedding, both Lauren and I decided to still use 2 separate rooms to keep our stuff. We would sleep together at night but have a separate life of our own. I knew that we had taken very little time getting to know each other before we got married, so we both mutually decided to live our lives the same way that we did before we got married, until we could find a rhythm in our lives to give space to each other. We understood the importance of maintaining our individuality and personal interests, even within the confines of marriage. By giving each other space and time to pursue our own hobbies and goals, we believed it would strengthen our bond and allow us to grow both as individuals and as a couple. We hardly interfered with each other's schedules and did not always keep tabs on each other. I was mostly busy with my business, and adding one extra thing to my routine would be a hassle. I trusted that Lauren would make sure to take care of herself and let me know if she needed anything. This level of trust and independence in our relationship allowed us to support each other's personal growth and maintain a healthy balance between our individual lives and our life together. It also created a sense of freedom and autonomy, fostering a deep sense of respect and admiration for one another. We understood that by prioritizing our own well-being, we were ultimately contributing to the strength and happiness of our marriage. Lauren wanted to celebrate her marriage to me with her friends, so I organized a cruise for 5 days with 5 of her best friends. I did not find the need to join them, as it would only make them awkward. I had no issue in agreeing to anything my wife wished for as long as I could afford it, as all I cared about was her happiness. I believed that giving her the space to enjoy this special time with her friends would make the experience even more memorable for her. Plus, I trusted that she would have a wonderful time and create lasting memories with her closest friends. Lauren continued living the same way that she did even after we got married, going to parties, coming home super drunk, and going to bed. I made her sit one evening and asked her if there was something bothering her to behave this way. She said that all this was too new for her, and it would take her some time to adjust to this new life. She told me that she was not born with a silver spoon like I was, so all this was very overwhelming for her. I tried to understand what she meant and decided to give her some more time to step into the shoes of a wealthy man's wife. It has been almost 3 months since we got married. Lauren still did not come around and maintained her separate room. She would shower me with love, and we would have passionate nights together. But there was something that still felt missing in our relationship. Despite the physical intimacy and affection we shared, there was a lingering emotional distance between us. I couldn't help but wonder if there were deeper issues at play, causing Lauren to keep her guard up and maintain her separate space. I wanted her to trust me completely and make her feel as comfortable as possible, as this was her home and this is where she belonged. I was contemplating if I should have a conversation with Lauren about my unhappiness and my concerns regarding our relationship. Would she take it in good spirits and try to see where I am coming from? I decided to give it a week's time and then maybe sit with her and have a heart-to-heart conversation about our feelings and if we were on the same page. I decided that this would be the best approach where nobody would be hurt. I came home early one day to grab a few papers for an upcoming meeting. I noticed that Lauren was not at home. Probably she was out with her friends. I was about to grab my papers from my room and leave when I decided to check what Lauren's room looked like. Maybe I could find some clues there that would help me to understand her better. I started looking around for either a diary or a journal that she kept. As I was shuffling through the papers, one of her lipsticks fell on the ground. I bent down to pick it up and noticed a paper under the dresser. It must be something important, so I tried to pull it out. It was an invitation to a private party. I opened to look into more details about it. I could see that the party was in honor of Lauren, organized by a group of men. The bottom of the invite was something that grabbed my attention. It read, "To the most beautiful woman ever, who deserves the love of every man in the world." I looked at the address of the party. It was a private villa owned by one of my business competitors. I decided to go and see for myself what this party was all about. On my way to the party, I called Lauren to check where she was. She told me that she was having a sleepover at one of her friends' houses and would be coming home by tomorrow evening. Lauren had no reason to lie to me because I had given her all the freedom in the world to do what she pleased. I trusted Lauren not to lie to me and just wanted reassurance that she was not at the party. I was sure that there was something fishy going on at this party that I had to find out. I reached the destination and parked my car outside. I could see that there was no one at the gate, so I showed myself inside. As I walked inside, I could hear loud and cheerful music that was deafening to the ears. I could see a lot of cars parked along the path leading to the villa. Right at the entrance, I saw Lauren's car parked, which meant she was definitely at the party and not at her friend's house as she claimed. I walked to the front door but decided against ringing the bell. I started walking along the wall to see if there was any window that I could peep through. I walked a little further and noticed one of the windows with its blinds open. I carefully tried to look carefully so as not to get caught. I could see a bunch of men standing with drinks and laughing. The music was too loud for me to make out what they were laughing at. I was so engrossed in trying to find out what was happening that I didn't even notice the obvious. Most of the men were missing a lot of clothing on their bodies. Some of them were bare-chested, while a few were just in their inner wear. They were all looking at the same thing that was below them. It was too low for me to look at what it was. I could not understand what Lauren could be doing at such a party. I was trying to give up and ring the doorbell when I saw something rising from the ground. It was Lauren standing right in the middle of all the men, with her 2 hands on her breasts and wearing only her panties. I was left numb. I could not feel anything. Just before I thought that this could be the worst thing I had seen today, one of the men came and kissed Lauren. She looked at everyone and laughed as they started hooting. I was filled with rage and anger. I decided to barge in and take Lauren away. I started walking briskly towards the main door when I got an idea. I walked back to the window and started to make a note of everyone present at the party. There were 6 men, and of course, Lauren. I was both angry and frustrated at what I could have even done if I took Lauren away. All these 6 men were my business competitors, and I could not let them mock me because of Lauren. I decided to leave them and continue what they were doing. I knew that I had to figure something out to embarrass all these men and teach Lauren a lesson. I walked out of the villa towards my car and drove like a madman, unable to digest everything that I saw. I gave Lauren everything that she ever asked for and even more. I was great in bed and we had a lot of wild nights and even days. I did not understand what Lauren was missing, that she had to go to such extreme levels just to have some fun. Anyway, thinking about why Lauren did all of this would not serve me any purpose. All I could think of right now was how to get back at Lauren and those men who were having a wild time with my wife. My mind was consumed with anger and betrayal, fueling a burning desire for revenge. I needed to devise a plan that would make them pay for their actions and restore my sense of justice. As the rage within me grew, I vowed to make sure they paid for messing with me. Lauren came home the next evening just like she had told me. I was waiting for her at home to see how she would behave after everything that she did since last night. She acted pretty calm and composed for someone who cheated on her husband with not just one, but 6 men. I tried to play along and ask her how the sleepover was. She told me that it was fun and she did a lot of catching up with her friends. I waited for her to freshen up so that I could implement my revenge. After Lauren came and sat beside me, I told her that I am planning to take a 2-week business trip for which I would need a personal secretary and that I had hired someone and her name was Catherine. I told her that she would be taking care of me in those 2 weeks. I called for her in the living room to introduce Lauren to Catherine. Lauren greeted her and welcomed her on board. I asked Lauren to rest up as I needed to discuss a few things with Catherine. She said that she was very tired, which of course she would be, after having sex with all the 6 men. That sure would have been tiring. Lauren did not look very pleased that I was taking such personal interest in Catherine, but she had no choice but to agree to it. I started walking with Catherine in the opposite direction, placing my hand on her butt and made sure that Lauren noticed it. I spent about 1 hour with Catherine explaining what her role would be. She was hired for the sole purpose to annoy Lauren and to get doubts in her mind about my relationship with Catherine. I wanted Lauren to confess on her own about her wild activities that she had been engaging in behind my back. Catherine walked into our bedroom the next morning to wake me up so that we are not late for our meeting. Lauren was shocked that Catherine had access to our bedroom as well. I quickly got ready, and before Lauren could question anything, I told her that I will see her after 2 weeks. Catherine and I left home, and for the next 2 weeks I would be staying at a hotel and keeping an eye on Lauren and her activities. I also had to find out detailed information on all the men that were at the party. I made sure to gather as much proof of actions as possible to make sure that I cover all bases and use them at the right moment. During my stay at the hotel, I meticulously documented any suspicious interactions or behavior from Lauren, as well as any potential connections she may have had with the men from the party. Additionally, I discreetly collected business and personal information of all the 6 men, as they could not just get away with goofing around with my wife. I hired a personal investigator to look into all the men and give me reports of their personal as well as professional relationships. Lauren was a special case, so I decided to spy on her myself. I wanted to see what she would do in these 2 weeks when I wasn't around. I was waiting for her to leave the house, as I know that she wouldn't be stupid to call any of her lovers to our home. She left home at noon. I followed her car to see who she would be meeting. She parked at a hotel and met Matt Ryan, who was my biggest competitor. They had lunch and were laughing and smiling at each other. I could see Ryan's hand on Lauren's thigh from time to time. She did not even try to make an effort to push his hand away. After lunch, Ryan guided her to his car and took her to his villa. I knew what they would be doing in the villa, so I did not want to waste my time following them anymore. My private investigator had sent me a few details about Matt Ryan. I was able to get Matt's fiance's contact details. I went to a phone booth and called her. I told her that Matt had been planning a surprise for her and that she was to meet him at this address. I gave her the address and waited for her to show up. She showed up after 40 minutes and drove straight inside. I had already bribed the security guards and they let her in. The main door was unlocked as there was no reason for them to lock it. Matt's fiancée went inside hoping for a surprise and hadn't expected the shock that was in store for her. She saw Matt all over a woman she did not recognize in a compromising state. She screamed at Matt and threw the engagement ring at his face and started walking furiously out of the villa. Matt followed behind her, telling her that she was mistaken, but she trusted what she saw. She told him that she would not only be breaking the engagement, but also withdrawing all her investments in his business. I was sitting in my car enjoying the scene in front of my eyes. I told myself 1 down, 5 more to go. In the same way, I got the information on all the other men and collected proof of their infidelity to their wives or made sure they were caught red-handed in the act. This led to most of them losing their investments or having to pay hefty alimony for cheating. I had one big surprise left for Lauren. I sent an invite to all the men from Lauren to a party at a new venue so that she could cheer them all up in this difficult time. Additionally, I also sent an invite to Lauren from all the men telling that she was the only woman who understood them and never judged them. This party was to celebrate the bond that all of them shared with her. I made sure that the villa was ready with all the preparations before the party started. Everyone arrived on time for the party. I made sure that everyone deposited their phones at the entrance before they could enter the villa. This was part of my plan so that they were cut off from the outside world. Lauren walked in wearing a sexy red backless dress that I had gifted her. I was amused at her shamelessness to even wear something that I had given her to enjoy herself with other men without even an inch of guilt. I had installed cameras everywhere in the villa, including the bathrooms, as I did not want to miss any kind of action. The party started with music and drinking. They slowly started dancing and kissing each other. As the party went on, I opened the link to the live stream of this party to all of the companies involved. The live stream started playing on every TV screen in both my company and everyone else's companies who were invited to the party. I had taken all their phones and placed them beside me in the monitor room. As the party progressed, their phones started ringing, some from their managers and some from their families and friends, to let them know that they were on a live stream and were being filmed. I put everyone's phones on silent and enjoyed the show with a bucket of popcorn. In the 2 weeks that I had been following Lauren, one thing that I understood was that she never loved me. She was only with me for the money and the privileges that she would receive as my wife. I should have known better not to fall for someone like her who was nothing but a gold digger. To be honest, I would not have had a problem with it because I understand that people get attracted to money. That was still okay. But what I was not okay with was that she tried to fool me by acting as a loyal wife. And she was not only having an affair, but she was having an affair with people I would have to deal with every now and then. I could see the looks on their faces when they would come to talk to me about a certain deal and make me feel inferior because in their hearts they knew that they were having the best time of their lives with my wife. That was something I was not okay with. I knew I was doing the right thing by exposing not just Lauren, but also sending a message to all those men that they made a really poor choice by messing with me. I collected the entire footage from the party and left. I left a message for Lauren and told her that I would be arriving tomorrow. The cameras were still recording them sleeping together in one bed, naked and on top of each other. A few of the men even got up in the morning and left. Lauren was the last one to leave. She looked at the message on her phone and quickly made her exit to reach home. I gave her enough time to get home, freshen up, and prepare for my arrival. After I thought that she would be ready, I made my entrance along with Catherine on my side. I hugged Lauren when I saw her and then started talking to Catherine. I acted as if Lauren was non-existent as I completely ignored her. Lauren stood there for a while, and when she saw that there was no response from me, she stomped her foot and left. I could see that my revenge plan was working. It has been 2 days since I came back from my business trip, and I have been trying to avoid Lauren as much as possible. I knew that all her lovers were busy with court cases and defamation cases against them, and could not contact her anytime soon. Lauren was still unaware of the footage and the chaos it created, as I had blocked all of them from her contacts. As days went by, I made sure that Lauren felt ignored and unwelcome in her own house. Catherine was the one calling the shots regarding everything around the house. She was the one letting the cook know what to make for breakfast, and also what kind of diet that I would be following. When Lauren tried to correct her, she would just smile and tell Lauren that I have now changed my preferences and am willing to chuck out old habits and give her a snarky look. Lauren came to me complaining that Catherine has been overtaking everything in the house and having a say in things that she was not appointed for. I told her to stop overreacting to everything. Catherine was much better at organizing all this and was doing a much better job. However, Lauren still felt frustrated because she believed that Catherine's involvement was unnecessary and intrusive. I wanted her to blame me for cheating on her so that I could play the reverse on her. I told Lauren the next day that I wanted her to spend some time with her friends, so I had booked a club where she could take her friends along to have some fun. I knew that she had been feeling a little out of place at home since the past few days. I would be busy till late at night, so she could catch up with her friends and come home after entertaining herself. This would help her lift her spirits as well. I was still having someone tail her and give me reports of her whereabouts every hour. There was no way I was going to trust her ever. I needed her out of the house so that I could prepare everything for a fun ride that she would be in for tonight. Little did she know, tonight would be a night she would never forget. As I meticulously planned every detail, excitement grew within me, eager to see her reaction to the surprise I had in store. Lauren came home around midnight fully drunk. As she walked into the living room, she noticed me sitting on the couch with Catherine on my lap. She could hardly make sense of what was happening. She walked towards us and screamed, "What the hell is going on?" I looked at her, smiled, and asked her to join me. She looked at us disgusted and asked Catherine to get off my lap. As Catherine was about to get off, I told her to sit back. Lauren was fuming with anger. She said that she knew that there was something going on between the two of us. Right from the day Catherine walked in, she knew that she was not just my personal assistant. I smiled at her audacity to blame me for cheating on her when she was the one doing exactly the same thing. I asked Catherine to leave us alone and walk towards the home theater. Lauren walked behind me with great difficulty, making sure not to trip, and stood beside me. I switched on the TV and something raunchy started playing on it. She did not understand what it was, but as she kept looking at the screen, she understood what I had put up on screen. The color drained from her face when she realized that it was the footage from her night with all the men. She looked at me in disbelief as she did not know what to say. She just kept staring at the screen and finally asked me where I got it from. I laughed at her question. I was amused that she did not even try to defend herself. I replied very casually that I recorded it myself. Her eyes widened in shock as she processed my response. She stuttered, trying to find the right words to explain herself, but nothing came out. The room fell into an uncomfortable silence as the weight of her actions hung in the air. I could see the guilt and regret written all over her face. It was clear that she had been caught red-handed and was at a loss for words. She was now struggling to come to terms with being caught in the act. I sat on the couch and started watching the footage with so much enthusiasm. She was just looking at the screen and at me, back and forth for a while, as she did not know if I was angry or amused by what was going on. I started commenting on what I saw on the screen. I told Lauren that I really liked what she did with one of the guys. It was a skill about her that I loved. I motioned her to sit beside me so that we could go about the entire footage together. She had no choice, so she sat beside me and started watching it with her head bowed down in shame. She knew at this point that she had messed up big time. As the footage played, I couldn't help but notice the discomfort on Lauren's face. It was clear that she regretted her actions and was aware of the consequences she would face. I made her sit through 2 hours of footage and told her that it was entertaining. I never knew she had such close friends who were so comfortable in their own skin around her. She had nothing to say in her defense. She started very meekly with a sorry. She told me that she got carried away by all these men. She said that they talked her into a challenge of spending a night with them. She couldn't let a few men win against her, and that was the reason she went to the party. I really liked how she was so fast at making up this story. I nodded, letting her think that I was buying her story. I tried to play a little with her to see how good she was at making up shit. I told her that I understand that she was being cornered by these men, but she could have used the identity of being my wife to get out of the situation. She said that she did not want to ruin my reputation, and hence did not mention who she was. I was impressed by her story-making skills. The ease with which she was lying was unbelievable. I acted as if I felt sorry for her being the victim in all of this. Just as she thought that it was over and I bought her story, I made her walk to the dining table to give her a glass of water. I made her sit on a chair and place the glass on a piece of paper. She picked the glass and noticed the paper. It was the same invite that she had hid under the dresser. The glass fell from her hand and shattered. She knew in that instant that there was no use making up stories, as I knew everything that she had been doing all this while. She fell to the ground and started crying profusely. Tears were the only thing that could save her. There was nothing else that she had to say. She could not defend herself, as there was nothing I did that could have led her to take such drastic steps. After confronting her and making her admit to everything she had done, I kicked her out of the house, as I had no room for a cheater like her, both in my heart and in my house. She kept begging me to give her another chance, but I learned from my mistakes and don't repeat them ever. She said that she was not thinking straight and got carried away. All of them were rich and she could not say no to them. I firmly stood my ground, knowing that forgiveness was not an option. It was a painful decision, but I knew it was necessary for my own well-being and self-respect. Moving forward, I vowed that if I ever were to like another person, then I would definitely test her worthiness to be a part of my life. This was the biggest lesson I learned from Lauren's betrayal. Within a week, I had my lawyer draw up the divorce papers. I made sure that she gets nothing from me after all the chaos she caused in my life. I made sure that a few pictures and videos of her cheating were circulated in the media to name and shame her. I made sure that I destroy any credibility that she had so that it would be difficult for her to get a job anywhere. I had warned all the major companies against hiring her. I still had a private investigator tailing her so that I was aware of what she was up to. I wanted to let her know how difficult life would be without me in the picture. I wanted her to regret every day of her life going forward for cheating on me. I made sure that she does not get a place to stay easily and is insulted everywhere she goes asking for a job. She did not agree for a mutual divorce and demanded alimony. I could not hold back my laughter at her blatant demands of money and property. She even faked to be pregnant to make sure that she gets at least child support and property under the child's name. I showed the judge all the pictures in which she was surrounded by so many men in all kinds of compromising positions. I told the judge that I was never that intimate with her to blindly agree to the child being mine. I asked to get a DNA test to make sure that it was actually mine. As they took her for the test, they came to know that she lied about the pregnancy. I put a defamation case on her along with the divorce case. She pleaded to the judge that she had no money and no source of income to pay me. Well, she should have thought about all of this before she decided to cheat on me. This was all the drama that had happened to me in the last 3 months since I got married. I am writing all of this just to lessen the hurt and pain that I have been feeling. It was very difficult for me to stay on this path of revenge and make sure to carry on with it till the end. There were times when I was so depressed that I didn't even want to do anything. Lauren was the first person who I thought would be different from all the other girls that I met in the past. She did not come off as a gold digger at first, but all she wanted was my money and property. I now understand her reluctance from the beginning to share a room with me. She would not have been able to hide all her dirty actions if we were living in the same room. It was a painful realization, but I'm grateful that I discovered her true intentions before things got even more complicated. I could literally relate with the saying, "Love is blind." For me, it was both blind and untrustworthy. I know it is going to be a difficult walk for me starting here. She not only ruined my marriage, but also my reputation. I can see the way people look at me as I walk past them. There is pity in their eyes, and some even have a mocking expression that I got fooled by a woman who was cheating right under my nose. It's disheartening to witness the judgment and scrutiny from those around me. The weight of betrayal is heavy, and it's challenging to navigate through the aftermath of such a devastating revelation. I would like suggestions and opinions from all of you guys to let me know if you agree with everything that I have done, and also how I should live my life going forward. All this drama has impacted my judgment in such a way that I keep second-guessing myself all the time. I would appreciate any help that comes my way. Thank you for reading.
I caught my wife in the act cheating with our gardener, so I destroyed her life doing this. Hey, Reddit. I never thought it would happen to me. I had always believed that my wife and I had a solid, loving relationship that would endure through anything life threw our way. But one day, when I discovered my wife was having an extramarital affair with my gardener, everything changed. The shock and betrayal I felt in that moment were overwhelming. It shattered the foundation of trust we had built over years, leaving me questioning everything I thought I knew about our marriage. I am a 40-year-old male with a stunning wife of 35. We have been married for almost 2 years now. I wanted us to move to a bigger house with a swimming pool, a nice garden, and a barbecue area. My wife has always been fascinated by the idea of a villa. So, on my wife's birthday, I gifted her keys to our new house. I had everything prepared and ready to move in, including all the furniture and decorations that she had always dreamed of. It was a moment filled with excitement and joy as we envisioned the countless memories we would create in our new home. We couldn't wait to invite friends and family over for pool parties and barbecues, enjoying the beautiful garden and creating a haven where we could relax and unwind together. As time progressed, it was getting difficult for us to upkeep the house. We didn't have a lot of spare time to do household chores. So, we hired a gardener to take care of our yard and keep our property looking beautiful. The gardener, named Carlos, quickly became a valuable asset to our family. He had an incredible green thumb and transformed our yard into a vibrant oasis. Carlos not only maintained the lawn and trimmed the hedges, but he also introduced us to various plants and flowers that added a burst of color to our surroundings. We also hired a weekly cleaner who would come in once a week and deep clean the entire house. This helped us maintain the house and also have friends and family over without being judged for not having a sparkling house. Carlos was a young and dynamic person. He was 28 years old, well-built and had a charismatic personality that attracted people towards him. Carlos possessed a natural charm and had an infectious energy that made him the life of any gathering. He exuded confidence in every step, leaving a lasting impression on everyone he met. At first, my wife and I were both pleased with the work he did. He was polite, friendly, and always seemed happy to do whatever we needed. But then I began to notice small changes in my wife's behavior. She started spending more time outside when he was there, and would often bring him a glass of lemonade or a snack. I couldn't help but feel a growing sense of unease as their interactions became more frequent and intimate. It seemed like there was a subtle shift in their dynamic that I couldn't quite put my finger on. I didn't think anything of it at first. I trusted my wife completely, and thought that maybe she was just being friendly. A few months after we bought the house, my wife started seemingly less and less interested in having guests over. I would notice her spacing out during our conversations with our guests, which were very unlike her. I asked her if there was something bothering her, but she brushed it off, saying that she was just feeling a little under the weather. However, her behavior continued to concern me as it persisted over time. I decided to give her some space. I hoped that giving her some space would allow her to open up about whatever was truly bothering her. However, as time went on, her disinterest in socializing became more pronounced, and I couldn't help but feel a growing sense of unease about the situation. I knew it was important to address this issue before it started affecting our relationship and our ability to enjoy our new home together. My work was booming and I was getting calls from all places to expand my business. I was very content with the way things were going for me. My wife insisted that I should expand my business so that we can fall back on it during bad times. I gave it a thought and decided to take her advice seriously. I realized that expanding my business would not only provide us with a safety net but also open up new opportunities for growth and success. With this newfound motivation, I began strategizing and exploring different avenues to expand my business effectively. I researched market trends and analyzed potential target markets to identify areas of high demand. Additionally, I sought advice from industry experts and attended business conferences to gain insights on successful expansion strategies. By adopting a proactive approach and implementing innovative marketing techniques, I aim to attract a larger customer base and establish a strong presence in new markets. After careful deliberation, I had finally picked out a new city to expand my business. I had to go on a 2-week business trip and was very skeptical about leaving my wife behind in the big villa all by herself. I suggested that she ask one of her friends or sisters to come over and give her company. However, my wife reassured me that she would be perfectly fine and even excited to have some alone time. She assured me that she would take necessary precautions to ensure her safety and enjoy the peacefulness of the villa. Reluctantly, I agreed to trust her judgment and left detailed instructions for her to follow in case of any emergencies. As I embarked on my business trip, a mixture of worry and anticipation filled my mind, hoping that everything would go smoothly for both of us during our time apart. I was unaware of what was brewing between my wife and Carlos, the gardener behind my back. I was done with my business set up earlier than the intended time. I had a few more days from my scheduled departure. I decided to spend one day shopping for a few things for my dear wife. I wanted to make sure I found the perfect gifts for her, so I researched the best shopping areas in the city. With my list in hand, I embarked on a day-long shopping spree, excited to surprise my wife with thoughtful presents upon my return home. As I wandered through the bustling streets, I couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation and joy. The vibrant displays and charming boutiques offered a plethora of options, making it difficult to narrow down my choices. Nonetheless, I carefully selected items that I knew would bring a smile to my wife's face, each one representing a cherished memory or shared interest between us. With the gifts carefully wrapped and tucked away in my bag, I couldn't wait to see the look of delight on her face when she saw me early, and also the things I had carefully selected for her. I did not tell my wife that I would be home earlier than expected. I wanted to surprise her with a candlelight dinner. So, I sneaked into the house trying to make as little noise as possible. As I tiptoed through the hallway, I couldn't help but feel a rush of excitement, imagining the look of delight on my wife's face when she discovered my surprise. The soft glow of the candles illuminated the dining room, creating a warm and intimate ambience that I knew would make the evening unforgettable. I carefully set the table with her favorite dishes and poured a glass of her preferred wine, ensuring everything was perfect for our special evening together. As I waited for her arrival, my heart raced with anticipation, eager to see the joy and happiness that would fill her eyes when she walked through the door. As I was returning satisfied from the arrangements, I could hear faint laughter coming from the jacuzzi upstairs. That was weird, as it was just my wife at home. Who could she be laughing with? Was she on her phone? Why would she take her phone to the jacuzzi? She rarely did that. She liked her peace and quiet when she was relaxing. She liked reading books while in the jacuzzi. I was curious and wanted to inspect it. I decided to quietly make my way upstairs, trying not to alert my wife of my presence. As I reached the top of the stairs, the sound of laughter grew louder, making me even more intrigued. I peeked into the bathroom and was surprised to see my wife, fully immersed in the jacuzzi, and there just beside her I saw our gardener in a compromising position. My heart sank as I realized the truth that had been hidden from me. The shock and betrayal I felt in that moment were overwhelming, shattering the trust one had once held so dearly. I was in shock. My wife and I had never had any major problems in our marriage, and I had never suspected her of being unfaithful. But there she was, kissing and touching our gardener in a way that left no doubt as to what was going on. My mind raced as I tried to make sense of the situation. Questions flooded my thoughts. How long had this been happening? Was there something lacking in our relationship that led her to seek affection elsewhere? That is when it dawned on me that I never saw the gardener anywhere around when I entered the villa, which I found quite weird. Now I know why he always seemed to conveniently disappear whenever I arrived. The pieces of the puzzle were finally falling into place, and it became clear that their affair had been going on right under my nose. The betrayal stung deeply, and I couldn't help but wonder if there were any other secrets they had been keeping from me. I slammed open the door and rushed inside. My eyes were burning with rage. My heart pounded in my chest as I confronted them. My voice trembled with intensity as I demanded an explanation for their actions. Initially taken aback, my spouse began to cry and attempted to apologize, claiming that it had been an error. He was just trying to help her because she screamed after tripping herself. I could see how seamlessly she was lying her way out. I had been downstairs the whole time and there were no screams. The gardener seemed almost indifferent, as if he didn't really care about the damage he had done to our family. His nonchalant attitude only fueled my anger further. I demanded an explanation from the gardener, wanting to understand how he could be so callous. It was clear that his lack of remorse only deepened the rift between us, leaving me questioning whether forgiveness was even possible. The gardener was so emotionless about the entire encounter. He said that my wife was the one who invited him to the jacuzzi asking for a back massage. I couldn't believe his response. He seemed completely unfazed by the accusation, insisting that he was simply following my wife's request. I knew my wife would never do such a thing. His nonchalant demeanor only fueled my anger further. I confronted my wife about the gardener's claims, but she vehemently denied ever inviting him to the jacuzzi or requesting a back massage. The gardener's nonchalant demeanor and my wife's denial left me feeling torn between believing them and questioning the trust in my marriage. I demanded him to leave immediately, determined to get to the bottom of this unsettling situation. In the days and weeks that followed, my life was turned upside down. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, and I couldn't think straight. I felt like everything I had built with my wife had been a lie, and that I had been a fool for not seeing it sooner. Every moment felt like a painful reminder of the betrayal, and I struggled to find solace in anything. The once vibrant colors of life now seemed dull and meaningless, leaving me questioning my own judgment and wondering how I could move forward from this devastating revelation. As days passed, all I could think of was what I could do to make myself feel better. I decided that I would not divorce my wife. I hired a new and hot gardener by the name Ashley. I made a special contract with her and made her wear skimpy clothes. I openly flirted with her in front of my wife. I wanted her to know how it feels when someone you love and trust breaks it. I wanted to create a sense of empathy within my wife, hoping that experiencing the pain of betrayal would make her understand the impact of her actions. I had specifically hired this new gardener just to flirt with me to make my wife watch it. My wife was not allowed to go out of the house, no phone calls, and had to seek my permission if she wanted to talk to someone. I created a prison for her in the villa itself. She was allowed to talk only to me. I forced her to watch me and hot gardener flirt our hearts out. I did exactly as she explained how things transpired between her and Carlos. Every day after breakfast, my wife was to narrate how things slowly developed between her and Carlos. Later in the evening, Ashley and I would recreate the scenes she described, acting out the conversations and interactions between her and Carlos. It became our own little performance. As days passed, my wife begged me to leave her alone. I reminded her that she had made a conscious decision to cheat on me, and I had no control over what she did. The same way, she had no control over what I do. I started inviting Ashley to our bedroom at night. My wife was to watch us sleep together. I made my wife choose the clothes that Ashley would be wearing every night to bed. She was supposed to sit on the couch and watch me and Ashley enjoy the night till both of us fell asleep. This arrangement created a strange dynamic in our relationship, as my wife struggled with her emotions while witnessing our intimate moments. However, I believed it was necessary for her to fully understand the consequences of her actions and the impact they had on our marriage. A few months later, I came to accept that our marriage was over and that it was time to move on. I focused on healing myself and rebuilding my life, finding solace in the fact that I deserved better than being betrayed. It wasn't easy, and there were plenty of hard days along the way. But I eventually found the strength to pick up the pieces and start over. I got a divorce, as it was no fun going on and on with this punishment. I asked my wife to leave the house, and she has no right to carry anything with her when she leaves. Looking back on it now, I realize that I am not alone. There are countless stories out there of people who have been cheated on by their partners. It's a painful, heartbreaking experience that can leave deep scars. But it's also something that you can survive. Finding solace in the experiences of others who have gone through similar situations can provide a sense of comfort and reassurance. So here I turn to my Redditors to share my story. I may have been brutal in the punishment, but it was only because of the deep love I once had for my wife. I hope that by sharing my story, I can find some guidance and support from fellow Redditors who may have experienced similar challenges in their relationships. It is important for me to emphasize that my intention behind the punishment was rooted in the love and concern I once felt for my wife's well-being. Comments *. 1. U/Reddit user 1 *. It's important to remember that healing takes time and everyone's journey is unique. Seeking support from friends, family, or even professional help can provide the necessary guidance and strength to rebuild trust and move forward in life. Remember, you are not defined by the actions of others, and with self-care and resilience, you can emerge stronger from this challenging experience. Sharing your story and seeking support from loved ones or joining support groups can help in the healing process, reminding you that there is hope for a brighter future beyond the pain of betrayal. 2. U/Reddit user 2 *. OP, if you're reading this and have been through something similar, know that you are not alone. It's okay to feel angry, hurt, or betrayed. But it's also important to remember that this is not the end of your life. You can and will get through this, and there is a bright future waiting for you on the other side. Take the time to heal and prioritize self-care. 3. U/Reddit user 3 *. I bet she deserved every bit of punishment for this betrayal. A man gives you everything that you ever dreamed of, and this is how you repay him with. It's truly disheartening to witness such a blatant disregard for loyalty and gratitude. It's difficult to fathom how someone could be so callous towards someone who has given them everything they've ever wanted.